Hey, what's going on, people? Um, this Playboi Carti album is trash. Yeah, it's definitely garbage. Um, I guess let me sort of start with the positive, if there is a positive. I think the best song that I heard on here so far is Control. Okay, actually, the best song on here is Place, without a doubt. However, Place was a leak from like 2 years ago. And this new version of Place is worse than the leak. So I'm not even considering Place. Um, and New Neon I've heard before somewhere, I think. Um, so I kind of don't even consider those. Um, but of the new tracks, I think that Control is the best one. It has the best beat. Um, and even to a certain degree, the chorus or whatever it is that Cardi's trying to do on there, kind of, it doesn't quite work, but it could work sort of to a certain degree. But this is a whole lot of mid, man. This is like for real. This is a horrible, horrible project, and it's horrible for two major reasons. That most things are horrible. The beats are horrible, and the vocals are horrible. Even on Control, for example, where the beat is actually pretty good. It's a pretty decent beat, all things considered. Cardi's vocals, for whatever reason, I don't know why he's you know trying this thing, whatever, is horrible and it doesn't work. And it's grating to the ear, and it's very much a far cry from what made Cardi, I think, charismatic and interesting. Right? There's no bass and no like energy even in his delivery to a certain degree. It's um, you sound sleepy in a weird way. I know he's trying to do that. I'm punk rock and edgy thing, but it almost comes off actually that he's like drugged out and tired in a weird way, and whiny. So yeah, the vocals are horrible. The beats are like really, really bad. Where's Pierre? So noticeably, of course, there's like 25 tracks, and Pierre's only got two, and one of them is an old Pierre beat, and the other new one is like you know it's just kind of an average Pierre beat. So yeah, what happened to Pierre? And this is the thing, man. I always say like when you find your guy, your Yoda, your person that is really the ideal soundscape for you. Unless that person has fallen off, I always think it's a good idea to stick with that person, right? Like I didn't think that Cardi had any business working with Art Dealer, whoever the hell this person is. You could tell that this guy, Art Dealer, is not that great of a producer. In fact, there are beats on here that sound like Pierre retreads that are just trash. Like, they're like almost like imitation Pierre. Let me look at my notes here. I think there was a beat called the Die For Guy. Is that what that was? That should sound like a Pierre beat. There's parts of it where I'm like, this sounds like a Pierre beat, but worse. Like an imitation Pierre beat. It's like, what am I listening to this for? Like, why don't I just get Pierre? Like, you know what I mean? So that was weak as fuck. Yeah, where's Pierre? Now, Maaly Raw, I think he did New Neon, so that's a leak. And then there was one other beat, and that was kind of mid. Um, that actually wasn't kind of mid; it was mid. So yeah, Maaly Raw has also come through with like two beats. Why only two beats, right? Now, Maaly Raw is the guy that made Shooter on Die Lit, which was one of the best songs in Die Lit. So I don't know why Maaly Raw. I'm not saying he should do a whole song or sorry, a whole album with Maaly Raw, but I don't know why there's only two beats and the rest of this album is filled with people I have never even heard of. And man, a good producer is hard to find. Okay, it's not every day that somebody locks on a next level sound. In fact, it rarely ever happens. That's why you have to cherish producers. And I would love to know why there is no Pierre on this album. I think it's such a bad idea. Um, if anything, I think Cardi, again, I don't work in a business and I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. But yeah, there was a whole ton of leaks. If he was able to get that stuff cleared, who knows? Maybe he couldn't. But if he could get it cleared, I honestly would have released all that stuff officially. You know what I mean? Even though people had heard it, and then tack on like five new songs that are dope in that vein. And people would say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I've heard. 60%, 70% of this album already, but you know, it's classic. And the other 30% I haven't heard is great stuff, right? And that would make us go like, oh yeah, like I'm glad we waited. We finally got what we wanted. But instead, we've just waited all this time, and when this comes out, it's like complete trash. Um, yeah, disappointing, man. But it goes to show you how hard it is to continue to make great music. I mean, people always talk about I'm a legend nonsense, you know, because again, like I've said, people are desperate to be legends in this era while putting in zero work. But you know, you got to give Nas and Jay and Ghostface and these guys their credit, and Snoop. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine them in such a competitive environment that they were at? They continued to make great music. So they didn't just come out like, you know, with all due respect to Houdini. Houdini came out with Escape. Well, they had an album before that, but they came out with Escape, and for like 2 years they ran shit. Okay, but by the time Rakim and you know, PE and Slick Rick came on the scene, they were starting to, you know, Houdini was starting to get phased out a bit. You know what I mean? And that's when Houdini was making classic music, and they were competing against other people who were bringing their A game. So can you imagine someone like a Snoop or, you know, a DMX, even for a certain degree, maybe not DMX, but a Snoop or a Nas, a Jay, Ghostface, where these guys, they debuted in like 92, 93, and up until 2000, mid 2000, they were still dropping classic shit and even classic albums. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. And they're competing with new guys every year, new guys, right? Look at Busta Rhymes. When Busta Rhymes was about to battle T.I. and T.I. backed down like a little bitch. But if you were to take all the stuff from Busta after T.I. debuted, Busta would still kill T.I. That's how competitive this shit is, or used to be, right? So for Playboi Carti to like already fall off is kind of crazy when you think about it. But it goes to show you what I've been telling y'all, that like this era, because they, it's almost like they don't really have anything to say, and because they refuse to say anything of any real substance, they kind of like, they just all keep making the same old music, and they, you know, they just repeat and bite each other. But you know, every now and then there's a couple of people like a Playboi Carti or ASAP Rocky who stumble on like a new sound, right, an idea, and they ride that idea, but they're not, you know, they're not trying to elevate the intellect. So they'll, you know, they ride like a hot wave or hot beat, and they just happen to get great beats at a particular time. But it only fade, you know, that shit phases out after a while, right? If you don't have a certain core to your, you know, to who you are and what your artistic sort of goals are, you know, anybody can lead you down a fucking path. And I think someone led Playboi Carti down this weird punk rock path or whatever the hell he was trying to do here. So yeah, disappointing, man. But was, you know, is and was Playboi Carti the most exciting rapper of the last 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years? Absolutely. You know, absolutely. I've said this before, but self-titled is easily I mean, probably the second best rap album I've heard in the last 10 years. I'll put that against anybody. I mean, I think after Live Love ASAP, you're talking about self-titled, and I wouldn't necessarily call self-titled a classic. It's too early for that, but I definitely think it's the strongest shit that I've heard from anybody. Uh, you know, in that amount of time. So yeah, this is disappointing. I mean, Playboy is that guy. We know him as that dude. You know, Goofy's in the comments section, the rhythm lists, the haters. Yeah, you know, that's how it is usually when someone comes out with something fresh. People hate. I've seen it all the time. And then over time, people pretend like, you know, they were on it. You know, it's cool, whatever. But, you know, Playboy had that shit for a moment. You know, I was really looking forward to stuff, but this is kind of weak. Hopefully, he can bounce back and regroup and make something, you know, new and sort of. I think you should look back on that self-titled um, era, because to me, the self-titled was his best stuff. I'm not saying necessarily that he has to sonically do that stuff again, but I do think that vocally, where he was at self-titled was I kind of the ideal, right, so far. On Dialect, you started to see that, you know, it started to see that little, the baby voice was kind of, you know, baby voice. That sort of trash rap was coming in a little bit on Dialect, right? Dialect was still pretty decent. I warmed up to it actually, but you could kind of see it. you know. So I think you should go self-titled. Really look at that and be like, why did this work? You know, because a lot of people that praise Die Lit, they were late to self-titled, and that's why they praise Die Lit so hard. Not that Die Lit isn't good, but those are late, late comers. And then of course they came in when there was the wave, right, of the leaks, and then so they were riding the, that wave. And that's why Pissy Pamper started um, getting all the shine. When in fact Pissy Pamper is really not that great of a song. Honestly, let's be real here. Like Playboi Carti got way better songs than that. You know what I'm saying? Like way better songs. But again, that was when the casuals, the wave of casuals were trying to hop on the train. You can't listen to the casuals, man. The casuals don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Never listen to the casuals. Always listen to people that know and sort of deep down really care about your music and the quality of it, right? Those are the people you gotta please, right? Because as long as you please them, for the most part, the casuals are just gonna follow along. But if you start trying to follow what the casuals want to do, like, you know what I mean, the casuals will switch up, like like chicken or whatever. They're just onto something else, and then here you are, you've changed your sound and you sound like trash. You know what I mean? I should have known with hearing Kanye and Givenchy or whoever the hell was on this fashion rap shit. Like, I ain't trying to hear that, man. I just want to hear good music. I want to hear good hip hop. So anyway, disappointing, but it is what it is, man. You tell me what y'all think about it. Control, like I said, was the only one that really sort of, on some level, I like the beat, but I still think that I may never hear that song again. Peace.